Welcome to the Junto Podcast. Excited to be with you. Christmas trees up. That means it's Christmas time. And if you're new to the Junto Podcast, we're a podcast about community and unity, typically framed around the perspective of faith, and joined by my lovely bride. Heather, what's going on, girl?
Not too much. Just excited to be here tonight.
Oh, I'm glad you're excited. Typically, I'm the one who says I'm excited. So
right, I'm excited.
Now you're the
excited tonight. Yeah,
that's good.
Ready for this conversation.
Yeah. So, we try to plan out as much as we can a lot of our content. I try to. Sometimes I'm successful at that, and many times I'm not. But we just kind of started talking about, well, what have we lived through? What's on our heart? What's on our mind? What have we been going through? And we thought it'd be interesting to have a conversation about post-pandemic life, or
post-pandemic.
At least talk about the pandemic and how, man, that's affected us. And of course, a lot of our episodes are framed around a conversation about mental health. And, every time you look at life and society and culture, and I teach, and a lot of the content I teach, mental health is strong in that stuff. So
right.
That seems to be what naturally flows out of us. But we thought we'd talk about some post-pandemic tidbits and how we survived this whole thing called COVID-19.
Yeah, and how life has changed.
Man.
Some things have gone back to normal, but not everything. So
yeah, it's crazy. And we could get into this. This is kind of just an off-the-cuff conversation, and I just want to go back and start with the memory. There are two significant events that I can remember from what I would consider a traumatic way. In other words, there was big drama around it. The first one of those is 9/11. I can tell you what I was doing when I heard the announcement on the radio. I was driving down the road, and this particular podcast isn't about that. Maybe we'll come back one day and do that. But I say that just to say that was a huge event that's etched in my brain permanently. And the second, in my adult life, in terms of the world and crazy stuff happening, would have to obviously be COVID-19 and going on lockdown. And man, I want to talk about just the feel, because we have a story to tell. Years from now, when the younger generations are asking,
reading about it in the history books,
right? Like, y'all lived through that. How was it, dude? I remember. Just pure madness is what it feels like, and maybe not madness from a rush standpoint, but just a lack of knowing what was happening.
Yeah, uncertainty for sure,
big time.
And like you said, not knowing. I remember, I believe everything shut down in March. Was like the big, wasn't it March?
I believe, yeah.
When
March
everything
20.
it was in the middle of March, seemed like.
Right.
I think our last service at church actually we had Jubilation Jazz with us.
Oh my gosh.
But that was our last service before kind of everything shut down. But I remember having a text conversation with my brothers and sisters and my dad, and we were talking about just things that were going on, and I felt like I had an inside scoop because, I don't know, somebody was telling us some information, they're about to shut things down.
They shut it down.
And say no one can go anywhere. And so I was saying that, and, some of us were like, no way, they can't do that. They'll have to come beat us up to lock us in our house. Just crazy stuff. But it essentially, everything did shut down. And I just remember having that conversation and feeling that, anxiousness about, okay, what's about to happen.
Yeah, it's crazy. We've been Walking Dead fans, zombie show, and that's kind of what was coming to mind. This uncertainty, like what's going to happen. The world was on lockdown, but I want to take it a little bit slower just in my mind, because dude, okay, so first of all, the idea of a lockdown is foreign to most people. Let's just be honest. Here
in the United States, for sure.
Right, for sure. Being quarantined, and obviously quarantines have happened for centuries.
Other countries.
100%. But like for us in the modern world, this was huge. And
Well, we were born into freedom.
Freedom.
Our forefathers, they fought so that we were born into getting to do whatever we wanted to do. I mean, basically, within context, but the freedom that we know as freedom.
Right.
And not having to be quarantined and stay in your house and...
Yeah, like that's all foreign. And I'm sure there's tons of conspiracy theories or theories that aren't conspiracy that people have about this. And I'm not going to chase that rabbit like everybody else. We have our own thoughts and beliefs.
Right.
But just the feeling of what was going on is what sticks out in my mind. And, obviously you start thinking, is this real? Is this legit? Should I be scared?
Is this the end?
Right. Yeah. And worrying about this virus and then wondering if I'm going to get it. And I can't say that I was ever really super scared of the virus. I think I was more scared of people's reaction to the virus. Because, listen, when
people losing it,
that's it. I think my biggest fear was never really the virus itself. And it has not because I didn't take it seriously. It's just because
we got COVID. I mean, we had COVID, probably a couple of times.
Yeah. And it is what it is from that standpoint. But I remember being like, man, people are going to go crazy. And a lot of people did. And, that kind of brings us, and I don't want to transition necessarily into mental health because I want to hear what you have to say. But I know, gosh, it seems like it brought mental health to the forefront.
Oh, well, yeah, our focus. I feel like, since we were home more often, for the most part, people were working from home. You were ordering groceries in, bringing them to your home.
That's right.
Amazon was cray-cray.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's houses.
Hey, that's stimmy money. You can't forget about that stimmy money.
So people were spending money and...
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like everybody had more time to focus on mental health. It kind of brought it. And some people were affected. Their mental health was affected negatively, maybe some positive. I don't know. But yeah, more people were working from home. And the thing about it is, some are still working from home because these companies are like, hey, this works.
Yeah.
We can save money.
Less overhead.
And still get work done and not have to spend as much.
I was part of that workforce. I was part of the work from home. And I'm going to tell you, I believe I worked harder than I did because it's almost as if these companies are saying, listen, I have to make sure.
Yeah, you have to prove that you're getting work done.
So they're they're really pushing you harder than typical. But just a crazy time in the world. And, we're post-pandemic now. It's crazy. Post-apocalyptic is what comes to mind. Like we're living in a new society. This is I think it is
a new society. I think we've morphed into something different. I don't think we've gone back to the normal. I mean, I don't know that we ever will go back to the way it was then. I mean, when's the last time you went to a movie in a theater?
Yeah,
in the actual theater. Now you can stream all the new movies at home. I think that's a new thing that's post-pandemic. Like, I know that they could before, but now more people have access to it.
Well, and I feel like it gave these companies a chance to try things that they wanted to do, but they were on the fence about. Right, so it's like, oh wow, let's try the streaming because there's this thing about are we going to sell as much if people aren't going to the movies, and then they find out, hey, people are going to watch just as much from home. And you're exactly right. You hit the nail on the head. Like we are different. Mm-hmm. It's almost as if. We've changed.
I still sometimes order groceries here.
Still? What you talking about?
I mean, it's so convenient, like I said, some people are still working from home. With us, with church, we continue to work, and y'all would record sermon messages.
That's very true. And I was thinking about that. It forced this change.
Yeah.
That's something that we were streaming, but to a very limited capacity.
Definitely amped up our online presence for sure.
Right. It's crazy. And
So that was positive, you know,
I'm sure
because we've continued a lot of that, you know.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm sure positive things have happened.
Right.
But it's just crazy to see. And I guess that's how the world works. And I think that's why this is really an interesting topic, because here we are. We're 2 years fixing to go into the third year
Right.
post-pandemic, I guess, if you will. And, you know, it left its mark on us. And you had some information, I think, in terms of just maybe how COVID affected us, maybe from a mental standpoint or something like that.
Yeah, I did. I was going to talk about kids with school. You know, a lot of them are still online doing the online thing. I think that's amped up quite a bit. But during that time, I think now a lot of the kids that year, not that it was completely lost, but a lot was lost. I feel like there was some knowledge that, like each grade, like there was a lack of knowledge and skills that maybe they didn't get because
Wow.
they weren't in school. Yeah, we were doing school at home, but, you know, unless you're a homeschool family and you know how to get that going, a lot of these families had a really hard time with that.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely helped bring in a lot of the anxiety, maybe, you know, the anxiousness with parents. So yeah.
Yeah, that's big. I mean, obviously, one of the things that's probably the biggest thing I would say that's changed is the way we learn. You know, it seems like things were kind of trending online, but I feel like the pandemic really pushed things in that direction. And I work in higher education, so you see that across the board. And what's crazy, you know, it seems like so many places of business, particularly those that are institutional, like church, school, where you really rely on your people for the success of that ministry or that school.
The business of people.
Right. Like it has really suffered, and it's hard to get people back. We see it in higher education. We see it in church. Obviously, I'm in ministry as well, if you've ever listened to this podcast. So it's just really, really tough.
A lot of people got used to watching church in their jammies, sitting on the couch.
It is more comfortable, I'll be honest.
It is more comfortable. You don't have to, you don't have to take a shower and brush your hair and get all fixed up and go in and put on the church smile for everybody and shake a hand.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of things that, I don't know, there's pros and cons for sure to everything. See, when you're dealing with people and having to socialize, and some people have a really hard time with it. So being able to get your needs as far as knowledge, information, your spirituality, if you can get it at home in your comfort zone, hey, it's hard to break out of that.
Why leave the house when you don't have to? And I get that, I get it. But certainly, man, when you're in the people business, and we want to encourage you, listen, if you're stuck, there's so many benefits just to being amongst people. This whole podcast, the premise of this is that, hey, life is better when we do it together. Life is better when you connect with people, when you're building authentic relationship, and you're just finding those connections, because we're not meant to be alone.
Right.
We're made to be in community. So, we got some upcoming episodes that are going to be dealing with mental health. We always come back to mental health, but I thought this was really good because, as you highlighted, it really, there's some positive things that happened, but also we saw some negative things that began to happen.
And one was definitely the anxiety, the depression. A lot of that just seems like just really compounded and got worse.
Yeah.
Those who may have been on the verge of it and fighting it back, pushing it back. And then pandemic comes and it's like, all right, you're in it.
Yeah, that's it.
And so now here we are after trying to dig ourselves out of it.
Yeah.
And still be involved. And it's hard to do that when you've been out so long. You know, the first step, going to the first meeting, going to the first service, going to the first class, all that is the hardest. So getting there,
right.
You know,
it's like breaking that ice. Like once you break the ice and you go, and like you said, you go to the first class, you get out, it becomes easier. But man, it's so easy to get stuck. So if you're in that place right now, we call it COVID lethargy, or essentially that's just the idea that COVID gave you a good reason to do nothing.
It did.
But this podcast really is to help push the idea of community, and we know that being in community is good for yourself, good for your being. So, good stuff. Mental health, I know we always go back to that, but I did want to highlight just real quick in terms of just the hurting world. And I know you can see the Christmas tree here, so this is that Christmas season. 'Tis the season to be jolly. But this is also, for many people, a very, very tough season. We're talking about depression and anxiety. A lot of times people, this is when they really experience that SAD, seasonal affective disorder. And this is another reason why we really, really encourage being connected to people.
A support system.
A support system. That's it. Seasonal affective disorder. Isn't it crazy, though? How around what's supposed to be the happiest time, it can be one of the saddest.
Yeah, and a lot of people, and even with us, we experience this. It's happy times, but then it also brings your focus to, the ones who aren't there anymore and who enjoyed that, and you enjoyed the holidays with. And I think that a lot of people really struggle with that at this time too.
Exactly.
And wanting to get into the jolly spirit, wanting to be festive, and just can't get there because a loved one is gone, and it's just not the same.
It's tough.
So it's finding the balance of, but the ones that still are here, let's be festive and fellowship with them. And still remembering the ones who we love that are gone.
That's it. Yeah. So. It's finding that balance and, learning how to live and live happily, not just fake it. And I believe, I truly believe that there is healing. I believe that there's restoration. I believe that there's happiness, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So if you are prone to those types of things, I want to give you some quick tips. Just because we want to be practical too, right? We want to provide
I like practical.
Yeah, we want to provide something.
Steps and all that stuff.
So one quick thing that comes to my mind, if you are that type of person that really deals with some sadness, or maybe you're still got that COVID lethargy hanging on, doesn't want to let go. It's like got you gripped, and hey man, I'm telling you, you got to swat that thing down like a fly. But I'm going to
swat it like a fly.
Absolutely. But I want to encourage you, step out your comfort zone. Listen, change is not going to happen unless you make change, right? Some change is forced upon us, but if in life, if you want to see an area of improvement in your life, then there's going to have to be a little bit of action involved. So I want you to wrap your mind around that, and I want you to write a goal or a small goal, something that's attainable, and I want you to push for it. Even if it takes you longer than you expected it to, I want you to keep going, and I want you to push for it. What you got for anybody? Any tip or something?
Good. I like that. I actually had in here attaining goals and reaching towards goals here, here. But also something that we've learned, we've been listening to those mental health coach.
Yes.
I don't know what you call them, lessons.
Yep.
They're really, really good stuff. And some of the things that I wrote down as far as approaches and caring for yourself or helping someone else care for themselves, minimizing weaknesses. So let's not talk about the things that we're not good at. Let's focus on the things that we are good at. And you kind of hit on that with your reel earlier today. That was today, I think.
You like that?
It was good. I like that.
I appreciate it. You shared it.
I shared it.
When it's good, she shares it, guys. When
No.
it's not, bloop.
please.
Just kidding.
But maybe focusing on those strengths, because, we're all our own worst critics. We can make a big old list in our heads right now of all the things we do wrong.
That's it.
And then the short one of all the things we do right most of the time. So really focusing on the positive
I like that.
about ourselves and others.
Wow.
Helping others to see their strengths, be an encourager. We have some really awesome friends who are wonderful at lifting us up and encouraging us. And it helps. It works.
That's right.
So focus not so much on the weaknesses. Still work on the things that, we can change and do better at maybe, but not focus on them. Because I think we can get stuck in, this is the way I am. So, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and some of those things stay the way that they are. I mean, it just is what it is. But
no, that's great stuff. I love that. Focus on the positive. And that's something I've seen this taught in a spiritual ministry sense, and then I've seen this same type of thing taught in higher education. So what you think in terms of yourself and others, man, it is huge. One of the I could chase that rabbit, but just really good thing. Think positively about yourself.
Do you remember the logo or whatever you call it that we came up with when I think we only had 2 kids at the time.
Y'all, we have done some stuff, let me tell you.
You came up with it, I'm sure. I was just your sidekick as usual.
Oh, whatever.
But it was SPIT, S-P-I-T.
Spit, y'all. We was spitting.
Speak positive inner thoughts.
Yes.
And that's what that means,
that's
essentially.
It. I might do another shirt.
I was going to say, we had shirts. We had hats.
Yeah.
What else did we have?
Man, we had
gear, and we sold a lot of it.
We did, and then we didn't sell a lot of it. But
no, we did sell it. What did we do with it? I mean,
and the shirts were good.
They were
like
good.
American Apparel shirts or something.
They were good.
I mean, quality was good. I don't know.
It was good.
Anyways.
Spit was good too.
But yeah, we had we had an idea to kind of formulate a small company, and really it was just we have been talking about mental health for a long time. It is 2022, and that was probably, if you had to put a year.
Gosh, let me think. Sydney and Sophie I don't think was in school. Was she?
I don't know.
I don't even think she was in kindergarten. I mean, they were little. We
had
a studio in Marion, and you were working at Service Master.
Yeah.
Right?
What year would that be?
Oh, gosh. Sydney was born in 2004. So let's say 2010. No, we started Victory. 2009.
Yeah, 2008,
shortly after
2009.
that, we started in Victory.
Wow.
Going to Victory Church. So, which would have been 2010.
Yeah.
So
that was crazy,
2008,
man.
2009.
Maybe 2006. Yeah, no, 2008, something like that.
Sophie was born in 2006.
Oh, Lord, she's got the dates.
Definitely
That's wild, though.
06.
Isn't that crazy, though, just to think about? But yeah, with Spit, speak positive inner thoughts.
Positive inner thoughts. And our whole thing was we wanted to touch youth groups and young teenagers.
Hey, cultivate the mind. You know,
speak positively, because what's in here is going to come out.
Yeah.
So.
Man, that's good. Yeah, so we've been talking about mental health and the power of positivity and spiritual well-being for a long time. We also want to encourage you that if you're in this sad, if you experience this kind of stuff and you begin to get gloomy, connect with other people.
Definitely. I think that, not that misery loves company.
It does.
But I feel like, if you're talking to someone else and they're telling you all their troubles and it just kind of melts yours away for a minute, at least momentarily, or at least to see that, okay, others are going through stuff as well. You're
That's
not the only
helpful.
one.
Yeah.
It just helps to know that, hey, others are out there. They understand.
That's it. It's super helpful knowing that there are other people who can, encourage you and lift you up. And, I want to tell you in closing, and if you've heard anything you liked or if you just enjoyed the conversation, we encourage you to subscribe be part of these conversations with us. Comment, tell us what you did in COVID, and
Ask a question.
Ask a question. We'd be happy to engage with you, and just let us know what you did. But certainly, I would, in closing, my final thought about all this craziness that we've been through the last 2 years is never be afraid to ask for help. If you're feeling lonely, whatever it is, never feel like your need is too small for others not to look into. Find a friend, find a pastor, find a counselor,
Right.
find somebody if it's needed and you need that. Find somebody that you can confide in and have those conversations, because you would be surprised what it means just to be able to talk with somebody. And then I would encourage you that if you find and get in that place of healing, that you be that for somebody else. So, final
good
thoughts,
stuff.
Heather?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, backing off of what you said, that some people don't know how to get help. They don't know who to reach out to. They don't know what questions to ask, But like you said, I would encourage them to find somebody, a pastor, a friend, a mentor.
That's it.
Whether it's someone at school, if you're in school, college, whatever.
That's it.
At the workplace, maybe someone who you respect and trust at work.
That's it.
Family member,
That's
who
it.
you can trust.
That's right. There is healing and there is hope. Hope you guys have enjoyed this conversation on the Junto podcast today. Stick around. There will be more episodes dedicated to mental health. Also, how mental health is affecting young people. I've reached out and have some good conversations lined up. So again, you can find us for all your needs or to listen to any previous episodes. You can find us at juntopodcast.com. That's JUNTO podcast.com. Thanks for tuning in and being with us today. And of course, it is Christmas, so stick around because we have some happy, jolly content coming up too.
Jolly,
so you don't want to miss that.
type stuff. Yeah.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle. Okay, I'll spare
I'm not
you
going to sing.
Me neither. Thanks for joining us, guys. Have a great day. Be blessed.
Bye.